Yohanes Surya. I'm from Indonesia. I'm a physicist. And I want to share creativity from point of view physics. So in physics, we know that when a system in a critical condition, then the system will self-organize to get out of this critical condition. This is what we call in physics self-organizing criticality. So in my opinion, to teach creativity, we have to put students in a critical condition. So they will self-organize to create many ideas. And this is what we call creativity. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. You are right. People do, in a desperate situation, start to invent. Diran, please. And Diran Apelian is from Worcester Polytechnic Institute, and I've worked with her in the past for about 20 years, I guess.
At least. Former provost of WPI, I'm very much involved in engineering and STEM education and innovation in that area. And other things as well. We've heard several things here. I'm going to try to integrate a couple of things we've heard. We've heard about values, how important they are. We've heard about the arts, culture. The gentleman in front here talked about innovation, that perhaps there is a lack of it because of the young people don't want to create anymore because they don't see the value. And then the role of teachers in terms of their role in nurturing or put students in a critical situation. I think there are really several things here that come together in terms of how to nurture creativity. One is, I think, the education that and this is what the conference is all about, has to be holistic. Holistic education, wherein imagination is really nurtured. And that's where the role of the teachers are so critical. And also the other thing is, in addition to that, is contextual learning. So if you have a context in which the learning is taking place, where the student, the learner, is actively seeing how the pieces come together. T.S. Eliot said, he defined hell as a place where nothing connects with anything. So, if you see the context and you're nurturing the imagination in a holistic way, it's doable. And I think we actually are doing it. And I'd like to just share with you an example, just one example of how holistic education, nurturing the imagination in a contextual atmosphere, does do exactly what this session is all about. What we've learned over the years is that in engineering education, that the first year, when the students come in, they've graduated from high school, they've impressed their relatives that they're entering the university, what we do is really turn them off. We don't really do engineering with them. These are engineering students. So what we did is establish this course called Sustainable Development for the 21st Century. It's really all the grand challenges that we face, energy, water and food for society, shelter, materials, recycling, recovery, health, 6 or 7 areas of that sort. And we've actually spent 2 weeks in each one of these areas, where they learn about policy, the human dimension, essentially the social sciences for this 21st century as the physics was for the 20th century. And that sort of brings in the values. The students see a framework of the world in which they're going to be living in, and then you let them loose for 7 weeks on the projects. And I'll tell you, I have been so impressed in the last 3 years seeing how the creativity of young students, if you give them the context, you give them the values, where you show them what the societal challenges are. This is their world, where when they're 40 years old, there's going to be 9 billion people, and how to deal with it. It's just one example. It's working. So I just wanted to share that with you. But I would like to impart those 3 last things: holistic, contextual, imagination.
Thank you very much. We obviously touched on the holistic side quite a bit already. One of the things we found in engineering at Imperial, when we looked at the differences between the men students and the female students, was it was the women who really appreciated the values and the quality of life and extending out to disadvantaged people that drove them forward. And they became more engaged as they went through the course, just as you said, whereas the men became more disillusioned because they realized they were never going to be great engineers at the end of the day. There's a question down here. Oops, sorry, on the right. or sorry, I shouldn't say question, a contribution. I'm falling into it. Yeah, you're going to have a response in a moment. Yeah, okay. Oh, exactly after this.
My name is Abdul Rahim Al Amin from Al Ghurair University, Dubai. I'm on the opinion that creativity is a talent, and it's like any other talent. It depends on the society. It depends on the environment that will decide whether this talent will grow and develop or die. So I'm on the opinion that the values and the ethics of society is very, very important in either encouraging this talent to develop or to die. On the other hand, also, if this talent also requires development through empowerment. This empowerment could be technical empowerment, knowledge-wise, and also resources as well. So if this talent is being empowered technically and from the knowledge point of view also, and given the right resources, it will develop. Otherwise, it will die. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Was there somebody else down there? Yes. Can you pass the microphone one forward? Or...
Hello, Barbara Chow with the Hewlett Foundation. I had a question about measurement, or I'd like to discuss the question of measurement. Can creativity be rigorously measured? In a world in which what gets tested gets taught, it seems important to kind of address this. And if it can't be rigorously measured, how do you know you're making progress? What are the objective measures that tell you you're making progress in creativity?
Yes, that's one for the accountants and beam pushers in government, I suspect, as well. At this stage, I'm going to draw it to a conclusion from the contributions from the audience, which has been highly enlightening. Is there one short one there, please? Yes, sorry. Okay, one short one, otherwise we're going to run out of time. Yeah, somebody's got their hand up there. The lady with the...
Thank you. My name is Beatrice Jenga. I'm head of the education program of the African Union. I'd just like to say that human beings are creative by nature, but somehow through the education system, that creativity is educated right out of, it's educated out of us through compartmentalized disciplines. And at the African Union, one of the things we are doing through a project called the Pan-African University, we are developing curricula for university and in different disciplines, whether one is studying astrophysics or Swahili poetry, we are saying that everybody has to take courses in creativity and innovation, leadership, critical thinking, African values and history. So it's interesting that people are actually bringing that out, that values are also important in order to promote or enhance and manifest the creativity that is within. And because we really want creative professionals. Whatever it is you're going to do, you have to be creative, so that people don't go to school so that they get jobs. They go to school so that they can also create jobs and make a difference in the society within which they find themselves. Thank you. Thank
you very much. As somebody whose wife studied Swahili poetry as an undergraduate, I fully appreciate it. At this stage, I really do have to move on. We're out of time. Sorry. And to give, in all fairness to the presenters, I'm going to ask them to sum up now, starting with Paul Collard, and then on to Dr. Coe.
Thank you very much indeed. Quickly skip through some of these points. I think that the question that was raised about the communication of values is an extremely important one. We're doing a big piece of research, which is just coming to the end at the moment, about school ethos. And one of the points the researchers make is that you very often go and visit a school, and the head teacher will give you a piece of paper with the school ethos written on it. It's that in reality, the school ethos is the lived experience of the children in that school. In order to nurture creativity, you have to create the space for young people to be creative. You can't be creative on their behalf. And in order to do that, you have to create classrooms which are open, democratic, participative, all the values that you listed. And the way you communicate values is by living them in the classroom. And therefore, it is the same issue. You will communicate those values you have identified by creating the classrooms which model that behavior, and that's how the kids will learn it. They will also learn to be creative at the same time. Defining creativity is the starting point in measuring it. And I think a lot of people have shied away from defining it, but we're doing a big project with the OECD at the moment about trying to come up with an instrument for defining creativity in the classroom in a way which teachers understand and relate to. There's a lot of academic literature about creativity, and there's a lot of assessments of creativity which require a psychologist to be sitting in the classroom telling the teachers whether their children are creative or not. That's never going to work unless we can develop a language which teachers understand and can use to identify patterns. We're never going to get to the measuring point. At the moment, we see the tool that we're defining as being formative as opposed to summative. So in order to help teachers form an impression as to where an individual child or young person needs help, we will then later come back to the summative issue, because ultimately I think it is possible, and I think we've just been scared of doing it. And I think going back to Dr. Ko, I was in Korea in August, and it's my first time in Korea, and what Korea has achieved economically since the ruins in the 1950s is completely extraordinary, and you cannot but be in awe. And I also think that sport and music and reading should be part of the education. It's very important. I think the three of them have very little to do with creativity. I think it is important things for them to do, and I think we need to be much more precise about what we mean by creativity and nurture those in young people. The most important thing is the teachers. That the failing at the moment isn't in the ambition to have creative schools, it's not in the desire of the children, it's in the practice in the classroom and with the teachers. And we hope that by developing a tool that teachers like, which help them identify creativity, we can embed it in all classrooms and enable that to happen. I'll leave it there for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ko? Would you like to sum up?
예, 말씀 잘 들었습니다.
Thank you very much for excellent remarks. Thank you very much for your excellent remarks. And I heard many good comments, but even though I'm here, I'm learning a lot from you, and I want to thank you for being my teacher. Creativity, as you have been saying up to now, we have some methods or tools. I don't think that creativity can be created through those methodologies or tools. I think creativity is in every nooks and corners of our entire educational system. I think the most important thing is the role of teachers, how deeply the teachers are interested in his or her students, and also what they can teach, how they can teach. And creativity is also should be instilled in the kindergarten, elementary school, secondary school, college, and postgraduate program should be in there. And each process, there should be a different methods for creativity. For example, you cannot have just the obvious answer in the, you cannot look for obvious answer in elementary school. There are some students, one man said that 1 + 1, the answer is 2, but some other students might say 1 or 3. Then if those kindergarten students 1 or 3, then we need to find out why the students answered in that way. And I think that students should show consistent interest, and we need to find out why the students thought of that answers. And I think that teachers need passion and interest and enthusiasm. And we have to focus on the students who did not come up with the right answer, perhaps, not just the ones who came up with the right answer. And also the teachers of with the parents with the wealth or not, the poor students might not have the resources for good education, whereas that the rich students might have more options, then which students would have more creativity? And I think we need to research that, how wealth would influence that. And I think that's also the role of teachers, but not just that teacher, but the best teacher is parents. And Korea, a lot of parents have a deep interest in their children's education. So a lot of parents show their interest in the teachers and their students. And the teachers who work under Gyeongsangnam, the Office of Education, 45,000 teachers, know that parents are very interested in their children's education. Thank you.
Well, we've had a stimulating session, and I see by hands going up, there was also people wanted to bust in, and I'm sure you're very frustrated. As you talked about 1 + 1 = 2, I give an after-dinner talk of, does 1 + 1 = 2? We ought to challenge that assumption, because it doesn't always in certain circumstances. And also, too, I think we are going to see a social revolution, because the social networking was very influential in the Arab Spring. The social networking via 3D, 4G, where students can access information as the class is going on, which may be counter to what they're being taught. It's going to be quite interesting to see what effect that has. And I do see that happening already in universities, where university lecturers are feeling very uncomfortable at being challenged now because students can access information that the lecturer or professor doesn't know about. And finally, I just ought to say that I have a research project just starting about the ethics and values behind European research between the start of the European Union and now. If you want to apply, it has a terrible salary, and it's based in Cambridge. But can I thank the two speakers, Dr. Ko and Mr. Collard, for starting the debate, and also for all of you in taking part in the debate. I think you did take up my challenge seriously. So thank you very much, all of you. Thank you.
감사합니다.
Thank you very much.